Senator Jeff Merkley on the line with us, the senator from Oregon. Merkley.senate.gov is the website. You can tweet him at Sen, as in Senator, S-E-N, Jeff Merkley, M-E-R-K-L-E-Y. Senator, welcome back to the program.
Thanks so much, Tom. Good to be with you.
I'm curious, first of all, I'm assuming that you caught at least some of the hearings this morning. I'm curious your take on what this spectacle that we saw this morning.
Well, I have to tell you, the whole setup is just a sham to try to make this a she said, he said, not allowing an FBI investigation, not bringing in corroborating individuals. All of this was done in 1991. How is it we can be 27 years into the future and treat women worse who come forward to share their experiences of a sexual violence?
I would say because it has nothing to do with women, because it has to do with a couple of cranky billionaires who own the Republican Party now, and their absolute, peak desire is to have 5 right-wing cranks on the Supreme Court who will completely support the agenda of these libertarian billionaires.
Well, that's certainly true, but I must say I thought my colleagues in the Republican Party would stand up for the integrity of the Senate and the integrity of the process and fair treatment of women, and would ponder this and go, I want these individuals to be treated the way my wife or my sister or my daughter would be treated, or my mother would be treated. Certainly not treated as if the woman coming forward is a criminal.
Or as I myself. I had a caller, I absolutely agree. We had a caller earlier, a young African-American man, who said that had you stripped the gender out of this and replaced it with race, had it been a black man testifying and the 11 white Republican senators had decided to hire a black man to question him, then everybody would say, oh, that's tokenism. It would be so obvious what's going on. And yet, because it's a woman that they hired to interview a woman, we're not talking like that. Once again, women are behind men. I mean, black men got the right to vote 70 years before black women got the right to vote, for example. And I'm curious your thoughts on that. That seemed like a pretty trenchant observation to me.
Well, no, that's a good observation. I must say, when I heard that they were hiring a prosecutor, I'm like, this is just a continuation of the effort to put Dr. Ford on trial, as if she is the problem or the issue, rather than the courageous citizen she is, stepping forward, knowing it would be a great personal expense. And I just kept waiting. I keep waiting for one of those Republicans on the committee to stand up and say, I've had enough. It's wrong that we haven't had an FBI investigation. You will not get my vote. I will not support us holding a vote until we start treating people decently and do the basics to have some shred of a fair process. Yeah,
it's going to be real interesting to see how this has all played out with the American public. But I think it was a pretty ugly spectacle this morning, and it was the Democrats who were mostly just praising her rather than interviewing her, for her courage in coming forward and for all the difficulties. Props to them. So you, sir, we're talking with Senator Jeff Merkley. You, sir, have you're trying to do something about this process. Tell us about that.
Well, something has occurred that we have never seen before. And picture the advice and consent process in the Constitution. The founders were so clear. We want the Senate to be a check on the president making appointments. We want the president to be a check on the Senate. We're not giving the power to either one of them. Each of them will have a specific and different role. The president to nominate, and the Senate to review the credentials of the individual and determine if that individual is fit or unfit to hold office. That call, and that's how Alexander Hamilton put it. He said, "Fit or unfit." That's our responsibility, which means you have to be able to review the record. What we have in this case is the president stepping across the separation of powers and interfering with the Senate's ability to check the record of the nominee, wiping out the ability to examine 3 whole years of his work in the critical role of staff secretary to President George W. Bush, proceeding to invoke presidential privilege on 100,000 documents during the time he served in the White House counsel staff, and then marking 140,000 documents that did come to the Senate committee confidential, so that individuals in the Senate cannot proceed to show them to staff, show them to experts, show them to the public, describe the contents, or otherwise engage in dialogue about them, all of which is part of the process of reviewing a person's record and deliberating. So these three instances are so egregious, so unprecedented, and such a risky precedent to the future that a president can nominate and then stop the Senate from being able to see information about the nominee. That's why I put forward this suit. This is a violation of the Constitution. We need to call attention to it amidst all the other activity that's occurring. We need to ask the courts to defend the Constitution, and that's what I'm doing. That's
remarkable. So, and then there's virtually no discussion of this in the media that the Trump administration is leading, along with the Senate Judiciary Committee, the Republicans on the committee, this massive cover-up, this hiding job. I'm curious, Kavanaugh was one of the lawyers who was advising George W. Bush in 2000 on the recount, which they successfully shut down. We found in November of 2001, when the count was finally done by this consortium of newspapers, that although the 3 counties that Al Gore originally sued about, he still would have lost, that if you had recounted the entire state of Florida by any measure, Chads, no Chads, pimpled, dimpled, pregnant, whatever, that Al Gore actually won the election of 2000. And they shut this thing down with the Brooks Brothers riot. We know that John Roberts was one of the lawyers who was prepping people on how to argue before before Rehnquist, who he had clerked with. We know that Neil Gorsuch was one of the people who was participating in this, and now we have Kavanaugh, who is participating in this effort to suborn or to blow up the 2000 election. Is the Republican Party, is this all about rewarding previous behavior? Is this payback?
Well, I hadn't framed it in that way, though it should deeply trouble everyone that 3 individuals who participated in the theft of a presidency, 2 of them are on the court, and a third might possibly join. But what it is about, and I think your initial comments go to this, is we now have a massive set of forces corrupting our We the People vision of this nation. We have gerrymandering, we have voter suppression, and we have dark money. And these individuals are defending and exacerbating that set of challenges. So they are basically rewriting our Constitution, our We the People Constitution, and turning it into government by and for the powerful. And of course, the powerful want them, therefore, on the court, want to make sure they keep that at least a 5-seat majority and more if they possibly can. And that's the challenge we're against. That's why at this moment, where the future of our country, the vision is hanging by a thread, we have to have an incredible amount of education of citizens and people power, feet on the street, engagement in elections to try to win back a path to restore our We the People of by and for the government, or of a by and for the people government. That's where we've essentially lost it. We have to reclaim it before it's too late.
Yeah, so very, very well said. Senator Jeff Merkley, representing the great state of Oregon, my senator, merkley.senate.gov. Senator, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Thom.
And thank you so much for being my senator.
You bet.
I appreciate it.